Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I would like to call to order the Thursday, February 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Lake Forest Board of Education. Can you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. So welcome to everyone who has joined us. We are here at North Elementary this evening, so appreciate the hospitality. I know we will be hearing from North here in just a few moments. Thanks everyone who's joined in person as well as those who have joined online. Just a reminder that we are streaming tonight's meeting across the internet, and a copy of that recording as well as meeting minutes will be posted online once they are approved. We'll begin tonight with a roll call of board members. Dr. Wyatt.
Present.
Mrs. McCloskey.
Here.
Mrs. Starkey.
Here.
Vice President Rao. Here. And President Earl Dempsey serving as chairs here. All 5 board members are present. Thank you all for being here. I will just say that we are in a big, very big, high room, loud room. So as we speak tonight, we don't have microphones. So I do want to make sure we just speak a little louder than normal. Thank you. We're on to 2.4 approval of agenda, Mr. Rao.
Item 2.4, approval of the agenda. I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
That motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
Item 2.5, approval of minutes. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the February 8th meeting as written.
Second.
That motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. All right, we are up to the fun part of the evening. 2.6, recognitions presentations. Certainly we have a big one this evening. Dr. Lucas.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to introduce Principal of North Elementary School, Ms. Erin Dodson. And she's going to tell us all about North Elementary School.
Good evening, Lake Forest School Board, Dr. Lucas, and the Lake Forest community. North Elementary was established in 1969, and it's had a lasting impression on the students and staff that have since been in attendance. We will begin our presentation this evening with our guest speakers. Those speaking have previously walked the halls of North, and some are still walking them today. They will be taking you on a tour down memory lane, highlighting their favorite memories and sharing how North helped shape them in their educational journey.
Lake Forest North Elementary prepared me for becoming a teacher. My family and I have a lot of ties and history to this building. My grandparents graduated from Felton High in 1939. My parents in 1959. My sisters and their children all came through North. This building means a lot to me. It was the 82-83 school year. I was in 6th grade here at North. My teacher's name was Mrs. Mazzarella. My classroom was located where our library presently is. It was before they remodeled and removed the science lab counters that they had for the high school. The tall counter was my teacher's desk. I can remember her sitting on top of that desk, crisscross, teaching our class. She was larger than life. She reminded me of Idra and Jeannie. She loved us, and she was the reason I became a teacher myself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Tindall. I'm a senior at Lake Forest High School. Next year, I plan to go to Hood College in Western Maryland. I will study finance and play baseball there. I've been a captain of the football and baseball team at Lake Forest for 2 years each. First, I would like to thank My teachers, Miss Vaquero, Miss Melvin, Miss Knight, and Miss Macklin. Excuse me, Miss McNair. For allowing me to learn at my own pace and in my own way. I remember in first grade, having to beg Miss Melvin to allow me to take, the reading counts test during class time, which I wasn't supposed to, but she allowed me, to win the award at the end of the year, which I did win. And I believe that my teachers in North provided me with the foundation, on which, to build my academic skills and hopefully create success for me in my future. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Carey, and I'm an 8th grade student at Chittenden. I'm honored to be here tonight to talk to you about my incredible experience at Lake Forest North Elementary. The first thing that comes to mind are the amazing teachers and staff that were so caring and dedicated to helping all their students succeed. I had Dr. Huber for my kindergarten teacher, and I will always remember how she made learning fun. She let us write our sight words in shaving cream. In first grade, I had Mr. Rand, who I remember as being very kind, and I loved her novel study. Then in second grade, I had Miss Hicks, who was always energetic about learning, and I loved her flexible seating, as it can be really hard to sit in a chair all day. For my final year at North, I had Miss Bushy. She took my learning to the next level and really helped me grow. I love the way she led number talks in math and how she would read to us. I will always remember her BFG day, where she planned fun activities and snacks for completing the book. One of the things that carried on throughout my time at the Spartan is the friendships I made at North. We had the best time together, whether we were working on group projects, playing at recess, or cheering each other on at school-wide events. North's events were the best. My favorite memories were the PBS events like the laser show, the kindness walk, and the end of the year water day. The PBS events were always something I looked forward to and did my best to earn. The sense of community at Lake Forest North is truly something special. Lake Forest North truly shaped my educational experience. It gave me a solid foundation and a love for learning that will last a lifetime. I'm forever grateful for the memories and experiences I had at North.
Hi, my name is Jamie Patel. I attended Lake Forest North from kindergarten to third grade. I have had many good memories here and enjoyed being with all the great staff members and especially my third grade teacher, Miss Boardley, who I really missed. During my third grade year, I was recognized with the Bradley Award. I enjoyed Black History Month. I did my project on Jeanette College, making a cereal box, and it was recognized as a good project for my class, and I was chosen to give a speech in front of all the students during assembly. All the activities here at North were amazing, and one of my favorite ones every year was Water Day. North is an amazing elementary school, and I have great memories to share that could go on for hours. I miss North a lot and wish I could come back here once again.
Hi, my name is Brittany Nolan, and I am in third grade in Mrs. Hill's class. I feel like I learn a lot every day at school. I research things when I have a test. My teacher helps explain the directions better than the papers. I really enjoy the morning bus rides to school with my cousin and friends. One of my favorite memories is when we went to the courthouse at Christmas time to see how court works. Finally, I really like gym class again. I have a lot of energy and we around a lot, so I can get it all out. I also really like the lunches.
Hi, my name is Jalen Davis, and I am a third grader in Mrs. Lauder's class. One thing that I like the most about Lake Forest North Elementary is the reading system. We are learning about history and how stuff was back then. One of my favorite memories here will be when I was on the morning announcements with Mrs. Cross. And when we took a field trip to Shelby Bounce in second grade, it was a long ride, but I had fun. And finally, Lake Forest North has a really nice teachers. If you have trouble, they will help you out, or if you get a bad grade, they will reteach you and let you try it again, and everyone is nice.
As you can see through the years, North has taken pride in being a model of excellence in education. We would like to share a short video that highlights the aspects of North that shape our students, staff, and community today. Finally, we would like to end our presentation with a small token of appreciation. Spectrum Farms has provided each of you with an amazing loaf of their bread, which is a huge hit with our staff. We get to raffle them off quite frequently. So we thought that it would be something to take home for you to enjoy with your families, and it's a great community relationship. So if our presenters would like to come present the board with their token of appreciation.
I would like to give,
Breaking bread with the board.
I'd like to give mine to Mr. Rao for all the yummy cupcakes he used to give us. Please go ahead.
And that concludes our presentation this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Dodson. Well done. Appreciate everything you do, all the staff, obviously administration and children that came to present. Really big thank you very much. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, our annual, road trip, if you will. I think we get to two schools a year. So it's always a pleasure coming to North and seeing all the great things that are happening, all the recognitions. We have Mrs. Carey as well, right? Behavioral support professional of the year, is that what it's? Yes. Okay. So that's, fantastic. So, thank you for having us. Thank you for the gifts, and we look forward to many years. Mrs. Fox, thank you as well. All right, we are moving on to citizens participation, item 2.7. So, yes, so we will pause for a second in the event that there is anyone in our audience who would like to escape at this point. We know how it is. And specifically here, the floor is very loud. Thank you all very much for coming to be a part of this. Happens every meeting. All right, thanks for those of you who hung out. We are on to 2.7, citizens participation opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any topic that they wish. We do open this up for the public at the beginning of each meeting. Anyone that does wish to speak, we'd ask to sign up for the superintendent's office ahead of time. Do we have anyone signed up? We don't. Okay. All right. So we don't have anyone signed up for public comment. We will open it back up at the beginning of our next meeting. With that, we're on to section 3 reports. Start off with 3.1 student council report. Abigail Sweet, so I think. Yes, welcome. Yeah, wherever you'd like, Abigail. Floor is yours.
The Lake Forest High School Drama Club will be presenting their 2024 Spring Musical Guys and Dolls on March 14th, 15th, and 16th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. Tickets are sold at the door or online. They are $10 general admission and $5 per student. The BGA State Leadership Conference is on February 21st. We have 6 students competing for the opportunity to go to National Leadership Conference in Chicago in May. The Lake Forest Cappuccino is open and serving students and staff after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays until 2 p.m. They operate through Junior Achievement of Delaware as a company program. In April, our students will compete with others throughout the state at the Barracuda Bowl in Wilmington. And on March 13th, 40 business students are taking a field trip to Goldie Beacon College. They will take a campus tour, sit in business class, talk with the Lake alums who are currently students, and dine in the cafeteria. Students are excited for the opportunity to learn more about a Delaware Business College.
All right, thank you. Any questions or discussion before this week? So Abigail, would you remind us what year are you and what is your position in student government?
I am a sophomore and I am secretary in student government.
Okay, well, great. Well, we look forward to a couple more years of having you here presenting to us. Great job. Thank you. We're up to 3.2 superintendent report, Dr. Lucas.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Spartan family. Congratulations again, and thank you, Mrs. Dotson and Mrs. Fox for that awesome presentation. I'm sure that many people who watch that are going to be reliving some great memories in North Elementary School in Felton. I want to recognize a couple of our high school educators tonight. Coach and Athletic Director Fred Johnson and Coach Dominique Hall took a group of about 25 Spartans to Dell State University today to take part in the Black Male College Initiative. It's the second year in a row the students have gone to the conference, and our hope is that the students who got introduced to a day on a college campus are encouraged to make the most of their high school experience and look towards higher education. Thank you, Mrs. Duberis, for supporting the efforts of coaches Johnson and Hall. Of course, February is Black History Month, and when we take the time to recognize members of the African American community and their many accomplishments and contributions, students in Lake Forest have been learning about many of these achievements as well as completing projects and doing activities celebrating Black history. The big event of the month is scheduled for tomorrow evening at Lake Forest High School, and we look forward to a big turnout. Dinner starts at 5 and the program follows at 6. It's hard to believe the 100th day of school came and went, which means we're looking at our final stretch before we hit the spring assessment season. There's not a lot on the calendar report other than the third marking period right around the corner, March 25th. As I remind everyone often, if you have any questions or concerns about the experience for your Spartan is having, please reach out to his or her teacher, school counselor, or administrator just as soon as possible. Finally, Spartan athletes have recently started or will be starting their end of year tournament play. Spartan wrestlers from Lake Forest High will be in action this weekend for the Henlopen Conference Tournament at Sussex Central. And both girls and boys basketball start state tournament play next week, hopefully right here at home. That's all I have. Thank you. Yield the floor back to President Dempsey for any questions or discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. Any questions or discussion for Dr. Lucas, the superintendent report? All right, thank you again, sir. Yes, this is Darrell.
Oh, I saw something, is swimming like getting ready to do a championship too? I thought I saw,
Yes.
is that right? Yeah, so swimming, I didn't see that, yeah.
Swimming is starting at UD, right? Does anybody know?
I only know enough. I don't think.
They had the prelims, yesterday, and then they had the finals on Saturday.
Yeah.
Good luck to our swimmers.
All right, thank you again. 3.3, we have an IT and technology update. Mr. Terry Lovett. Welcome, Mr. Lovett.
Good evening, board. There. Yeah, I want to give you a quick recap, kind of what we've accomplished in the last year, what we look to accomplish in this upcoming year, and get any feedback from you guys, any questions about how we're kind of we're doing this. So kind of a quick agenda here. Like I say, not gonna spend too much time here, but like Travis will start an introduction. Again, just kind of our mission from the technology perspective is to provide the technology support that promotes the a rich learning environment for all the students and empowers communication, makes instruction more efficient and effective, enhances thinking and learning skills, and develops the 21st century skills critical to life in a technology-driven society. You know, we're all surrounded by technology all the time now, and our kids, especially, kind of inundated by growing up with it. So we're hoping what we do from a technology perspective helps the schools, helps instruction, kind of create a better kid overall. Previous year update. So when we presented last year, kind of Chromebooks were one of the top priorities. Again, we've now got Chromebooks across the district. So prior to the beginning of this school year, the high school wasn't on Chromebooks yet. We've got those in all the kids' hands. It's streamlined the management of the devices, and it's eased up on testing as well. We're not noticing as many issues when we get into testing season because the Chromebooks, they just work for the stuff great. We ordered some new servers, you know, part of the infrastructure upgrade. We got those ordered in the fall of last year. 8 total servers that were replaced are servers that were aged out. 2 so far have been configured and are in work. And then we have a summer 24 for full rollout of all of those devices. The K-12 network integration. So this was that migration that happened at the end of last summer. While it wasn't the smoothest migration, we got through it. And it's kind of eased up now. We're not seeing any more issues with it. So glad to get through that piece. It's kind of opened us up as part of the state network. So that's been beneficial. Again, we did our Active Directory integration, migrations as well. And we migrated all of our student email accounts to Gmail. So that's just for high school students. And then the Future Ready Committee, this was a committee started by the Technology Office and Instructional Technology Office. We kicked that off about this time last year. We had 4 or 5 meetings, and as part of that, we selected Remind application to be the single platform for communication to the district. So far, that seems to be working great. So other initiatives that we took on in the past year, the Incident IQ help desk. So we've completely revamped and redoed our help desk system within the district. We're using a product called Incident IQ. Not only does it do help desk, but it also helps us with our inventory. We can inventory all of our staff and student devices. It's cloud-based, so it's accessible anywhere. We're not kind of locked down to the district for access to that. And it also integrates with Google and ClassLink to pull data from eSchool and our device data from Google. So we're not doing a lot of manual input on that application. Security cameras. So in the past couple of months, we've transitioned support for our security cameras from building and grounds to technology. As part of that, working with Mr. Weller and the constables, we're looking at some new cloud-based camera systems. We've implemented a new system at East called Mercata. Again, it's cloud-based. I can pull it up on my phone right here. I can see all the cameras in the building, so it's really helpful. Staff devices, we've replaced almost 100 staff devices this past year. We will be pulling many of those back this summer because we're getting ready to migrate everybody to Windows 11 before Windows 10 end of life comes next year. And instructional tech support. So when Ms. Comagis left instructional tech and became the assistant principal at Central, there was kind of a gap in instructional tech. So my staff kind of filled in as we could to support a lot of the instructional tech apps. It was a great learning experience for my guys to see kind of that side of the support roles. And we're currently helping the new instructional technologist, Danielle, kind of get spun up on kind of that integration between technology and instruction. Again, this is my team, Orlando Truitt, TJ Edwards, Darrell Scott, Greg Roster. Couldn't ask for a better team. They get out there and they do it every day. So very hardworking guys, really appreciate them. And you can kind of see our statistics from a help desk perspective. We saw a drop after COVID when we first started getting in the Chromebooks in school year 22-23, just newer devices that aren't breaking as often. And I think we're on par now. That 2,500 number is through the middle of this year so far. So we're probably on task to be about the same as we were at last year, the 3,700 performance. So what are we looking at next? What's on the agenda? So security cameras, again, I mentioned working with Mr. Weller and the constables. We've got quotes from one vendor to replace security cameras in every building at the high school currently. And I'm waiting for a quote that we're finishing up this week from a second vendor to do the same. That would also include that. Once we get those quotes, we'll sit down and decide which vendor we're going to go with, what system is going to be best for the district, and then plan installations through the summertime. Building network wiring, we put in an E-rate application to take advantage of some of the federal funding for E-rate for infrastructure. We're looking at replacing or upgrading wiring at the high school at Chipman and East from Cat 5 to Cat 6 wiring. Again, that just increased our bandwidth and gets us kind of up to speed with modern technology. Again, that's a summertime upgrade, and we currently have just over $600,000 allocated from that federal E-rate grant that we would be responsible for covering 15% of that. So work with Mr. Kellerman, we have that set aside. So as soon as we get the quotes from that, expected any time now, we'll be able to see how we're going to be able to phase that in the next year and a half. And that E-rate grant will end 2026, and then we're hopeful that the federal government will continue that FCC into 27 and further. Infinite campus migration. If you weren't aware, eSchool or SIS is at end of life June of next year. So Department of Education is not renewing that contract. They contracted with a new company called Infinite Campus. So about half of the Delaware districts are going through their migration right now. And then we will start ours this summer and through the middle of 25. It's kind of shaky right now. Some of the districts aren't happy with some of the products that have been offered. So we're working through DOE, working with the vendor to try to get some custom integration built into that. So hopefully they have a lot of that worked out before we start our migration, fingers crossed, but, we're anticipating starting that this summer. And then again with devices, like I say, we replaced about 100 staff devices this past year. We're doing more devices this summer. We're doing a complete staff take back of devices this summer to upgrade to Windows 11. And our student Chromebook replenishment cycle will also start this summer for 4th and 9th graders. Dr. Lucas really wants us to look at how what we're doing aligns with our strategic plan. I just highlighted a few of the initiatives that we're doing and kind of where there's aligned with the priority areas from our strategic plan there. And quick summary, we're upgrading devices, we're modernizing tech in the buildings with upgraded wiring, cameras, things like that. Integrating with our instructional side of the house on our buildings and just expanding communication across the district. That's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Lovin. Questions or discussion for Mr. Lovin and technology update? Ms. McCluskey?
Just a quick question. We've been, the state's been using these schools for probably close to 20 years.
9 years.
Not 9 years.
It was a 10-year contract signed in 2015.
But what were they using for that? 'Cause I use these schools, but maybe different districts were using it.
Yes, that's fine. It was a state initiative.
State was-
Yeah.
Okay. These schools have been around before that. It confused me. But my question is there something that they're gaining from this new program that they weren't able to get through school, or is it just, they're just cut off one, starting with
I think
another?
it's cut off one, go with someone new. That's a decision from DOE that.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was things that we were gonna gain from switching over or things like that.
Well, you know that we have eSchool and for the,
LMS.
learning management system, we use Schoology.
Yeah.
Infinite Campus supposedly has both capabilities, so that is one advantage.
Right.
I'm not really sure why I think that they just, came to the end of the contract and they put out the bid for the next software they were gonna use, and Infinite Campus was what won out the,
Right.
the contract negotiation.
So in essence, though, it would be because Schoology and eSchool don't tend to mix, like when the kids bring up Schoology, the grading is different and then it has to be integrated
Well,
over and things like that.
Delaware's done a lot of work and made a major investment to make that a better transition. So Delaware's not sure that they're going to go away from Schoology.
Okay,
So they may keep Schoology still.
still,
That,
okay.
as Mr. Lovin mentioned, there's still a lot of questions that are being raised with, especially the pilot districts that are involved in that now. So hopefully that will work out. before we-
Right, that's a benefit, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. McCluskey. Anything else?
For me, just to comment, just in the 10 years I've been on this board, I appreciate the work that you've done since you've been here and the trend that we've gone, because I feel like we're a little bit stagnant with technology, some of that from the financial piece, but in general, the work that you guys are doing is phenomenal. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, and I did want to say technology is something that we all take for granted and don't really think about until it doesn't work. And then when it doesn't work, it becomes the most important thing. So to look at, that there's you and 4 guys, right, a team of 5, and the amount of technology that we have and keeping us up to date, looking ahead while also fixing those emergency challenges, it's just phenomenal work. So thank you for that. I did want to ask, so the Future Ready Committee, so I appreciated having been part of that first initiative. I know we're starting again. I think there was a meeting last Thursday.
Right.
What is it that we're looking at, or any priorities that the group has identified thus far?
So one of the things we're looking at for this cycle is kind of along with the Infinite Campus migration, the integration between Infinite Campus and all of the instructional apps that we have. Mr. D is here tonight to kind of speak on that side of it, but we kind of purchased a lot of apps to get us through kind of the COVID at home kind of thing. And now we're looking to start peeling some of that back. So we want to kind of use this committee and our resources within the bill to say what's working, what's not working, what can we kind of get rid of? Because, there's dozens and dozens of apps out there that we're paying. Some are free, some are paid, but are we using all of it? So Danielle from Instructional Technology is kind of doing an assessment on usage for all of those apps, and then we're gonna kind of roadmap out what that'll look like to kind of base some of those out. And how, what we're gonna keep is gonna integrate with Infinite Campus as we move forward.
Thank you. And now, so we're half the school year in where we consolidated or to consolidate on the one product on the, not Dojo, what was it? Gridline. And this is an open question. Has that been embraced or seeing everyone using that and we're getting rid of all the disparate?
As far as I can see from my visibility, from an admin side, administrative side of the application, I mean, there's definitely getting usage out there.
And was the intention to also include sports teams? It was supposed to be everybody, right? Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had talked about, some of the issue with that is, because it integrates with eSchool currently, so all the data that's being fed is eSchool dependent, so all the class structures are built around eSchool data, so if it's a sports team, and maybe we have a coach who is a non-district employee, how do we create that, give them those accesses in order for them to now add add their teams to the class, or to a class essentially, is what it is in your mind, and we just have to work through some of those hurdles. Figure what's the best backbone for that.
All right, great. Thank you for that. Anybody any last comments? Thank you, intern. All right, we're on to 3.4 LFEA report. Seeing Mrs. Heather Hitchens. Welcome, Hitch.
Good, that's very good. All right, I just want to say that we are getting to the middle of the third marking period. We see our teachers and our administration and our students working really hard. We have all these state tests coming up. We have all of these things that people are advocating for and helping our students. So we want to thank them, and we are very grateful for this stuff. I Love Lake Day is coming. LFEA is working hard for our Pie and Faith fundraisers. Thank you to administration and the board for stepping up and volunteering for that. It's really about giving back to these kids. So I just want to thank you and encourage you that if you haven't had a pie in your face, it kind of sounds like a good time. The last thing is, we all get stuck in the hustle bustle in the day-to-day, but seeing your North presentation, and I'm not from Lake, but seeing Lake students that came back to be teachers, that's why we're here, right? We're here for those students to grow and want to come back here and teach here and be a part of us as a family and a community. So that is why LFEA works hard with our district and our board to build that community relationship and to bring our students back as staff and teachers, maybe one day board members. So thank you for all of that. Thank you, North, for this presentation and those students and their smiles. That's why we're all here. And I just remind you to focus on that and all that you guys do. We appreciate every single one of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hitchens. Any questions, discussion from Mrs. Hitchens and LFEA report? Thank you for everything you and staff are doing. And she brings up a good point about board members, Mr. Rapp.
I made about North, I have children who went through North, and it's part of the influence I had to stick around.
Coming for you two next.
When I went here, there was balcony there, they actually set up in the above the little blue line out there, but now it's not.
It was still Felton, and it was 1 to 12 when I was here. So that tells you how long ago that had been. But my mother actually graduated from this high school.
All right, we are on to section 4, unfinished business, 4.1, board policies, second readings. It is an action item, Mr. Rao.
I make a motion to approve resolution 4.1, board policy, second reading, as modified with the discussion.
Thank you.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Questions or discussion? We will do what we typically do. We will go briefly policy by policy. These are second readings, which means the board has already reviewed once. We will start with GBEBF, staff conduct - harassment or sexual misconduct towards students. Questions or discussion, comments or discussion on this policy? Again, I believe this is a new policy and one that council was very heavily involved with this. And seeing nothing, we'll move on to the next policy, GCRC, staff consulting activities. Discussion or comments on GCRC? Seeing none, move to the next policy, GCRD, tutoring for pay. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to GCU, certified staff membership in professional organizations. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to GDI, classified staff probation. Questions or discussion on this policy? GDI. Seeing none, move on to GDQB, resignation of classified staff. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to IFG, respect for diversity. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to IFH, religion in the classroom. Questions or discussion on IFH? Seeing none, move on to IGD, curriculum adoption. Questions or discussion on IGD? Dr. Wyatt.
I just had one question as I read through it a second time about the lack of a parent on the committee or any parental involvement in the selection of curriculum.
Currently, there is not.
Not. And that was my question is.
So, thoughts on that from administration or the board?
Who currently is on the?
We have about 20 or more members on the curriculum adoption committee. I think it depends, but typically we get really strong participation. Many of those staff members do have children in the district.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically they're there in a professional role, but say more than a few have children in the district.
So the policy doesn't really call out from a board's perspective who is involved. But I think maybe hearing that the administration in the future, and Mr. B is involved in this, we take that into account.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wyatt. We're on to IHB, special instructional programs. The discussion on IHB. Seeing none, move on to IHEH, alternative school programs. Questions or discussion on this policy? So just point out, this is one that the policy itself is kind of, the content of the policy is being removed from the policy and will be moved over to the student code of conduct to be reviewed on an annual basis. All right, moving on, IHBIB, primary / pre-primary education. The discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to IHCA, summer school. Discussion on IHCA. Seeing none, move on to IMG, service animals in schools. The discussion on this policy. Just point out on the second page, the first heading there, the second bullet point, sub letters should be A and B instead of D and E.
Yes.
Yep. All right, anything else? All right, I believe that closes on that. One more. JG, sorry. JG. Yes, sorry. All right, JG, assignment of students to classes and grade level. Discussion on this policy. All right, seeing none, that includes all the policies under second readings. Any further discussion or comments on these policies? All right, seeing none, we have a motion on the floor. We'll move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. All right, you're up for board policy fund. Section 6, board policy 6.1, board policies first reading. This is a discussion topic. So we have a group of policies to read for the first time. We'll go one by one, starting with CHCA, handbooks and directives. Discussion on CHCA. Dr. Watt.
I just had one, and just because of my other position, doesn't make me even think along these terms. But when you have a long-term sub, because right now it's only addressing full-time staff, maybe a long-term sub should also have access. Or if you have a student teacher in the building, to be provided these materials so that they have an understanding of what the expectations are. Just my thoughts.
Where do you see that called out in that manner? We're on CHCA, right? Handbooks and directives.
Right.
Where were you referencing?
That they're handed out to the staff.
Oh, okay.
That they're not necessarily handed out to people who are in the building on a full-time basis that are not technically staff. And I know I always instruct my student teachers to request a copy, but I know that's not the general procedure, just so they understand what the regulations are and what the steps of discipline are and those kind of things.
And I think, so you're saying not necessarily in the policy, but just more of an awareness for the
Right.
part, and then to make sure that
Right.
it goes beyond just our staff, but those who are. And at that time.
Yeah, and see, when I read the authority to issue staff handbooks, student handbooks, whatever, I read that as develop.
Right.
And you, I think, are handing out to staff. All right, great point. Thank you. Move on to JBEBD, staff conduct - social media. Discussion on this policy.
I didn't see that policy.
Oh, you said it's G. You said G.
J as well.
Sorry,
I was scared.
G.
it's alphabet
That
soup.
is right.
Smarter up here than it looks, folks. EBEBD, sorry. So it's listed on our list as social networking. The policy itself is staff conduct - social media. So now I got my letters right. Any discussion on this policy?
I still have a question.
Mrs. Stark.
We talked about this the first time this came through, and I don't know that I have a strong opinion either way, but I'm looking on the second page on that third bullet, most of the way down. It says all employees are prohibited from making a friend request to or accepting a friend request from any current student. And I still am not sure what current student means. If current student means current in that class right then, right there, or current student in the sense that they are in the district K-12. And I think that makes a difference. And so I think it's worth clarifying.
What do you think it should be?
Well, I go back and forth because this is such a tight-knit community. And I know that like friends of my kids who, you know, will friend me on Facebook. Now, I'm technically not a staff member, but you know, I try to hold myself to the same standards which we hold our staff. And I would be disappointed, honestly, to not be friends with some of my kids' friends, because I think it's a great way to keep up with them, and I think also model what it looks like to be a good human being and stuff. So I don't know. I said this last time. I don't believe we should be micromanaging, all of that. I mean, so I do understand the current student, because I think there could be, it could get convoluted a little bit, I think, just having access to your teacher all the time, if that's your, like, in your classroom that year, I think that is a little bit tricky. But I don't know that I love the fact that, you know, that another student, but I don't convince me otherwise. I don't really, I don't really know.
Could I ask Mr. Moore?
Yes,
Did
absolutely.
we get input from Mr. McMacken on this policy?
We did, when this, because this is not a brand new policy, this was implemented a few years ago. I can tell you that Mr. McMacken's advice would be any student in the district K to 12. This policy is designed to protect the district, from poor choices that employees do make, unfortunately.
And I know that's the way it is at the college level. I can't accept friendships or whatever.
Yeah.
My current student.
That is also to say, though, that we are not actively mining through social media accounts. We are not, you know, those are not things that we are interested in doing.
Yes, but if it comes up, we have a policy.
Correct.
there. Correct.
Correct.
Ms. McCloskey.
Well, that's what I think, I had a really hard time with this at first as well, and I think that that's where, like, I understand having a strong policy. In case there is a problem, we have written that this should never happen. But I also think in a community like ours, you have to realize that we are a friend. It's nice to have something to be able to, enforce if a situation arises. But I also think that, yes, if we were gonna go around looking for people doing this, I think that would be totally inappropriate. To micromanage at that level, but I also think that I understand the reason for Bob, so I kind of got in between there, but I think we have to just be commonsensical, and I think it gives the teachers and staff a reason to be commonsensical and say, you know, where their line is. I mean, at some point, I think, you know, as long as we know it's not a I'm going out to get you kind of thing,
So then I would just propose that we put in there any request from any current Lake Forest student. I think by just clarifying that it's any student and not just a current student in the classroom. I think putting Lake Forest there would maybe help with that.
Yeah, I would even go as far as with Mr. Molman's recommendation of K to 12.
Okay, and we'll even pre-K, I mean, they should.
So,
Shouldn't be.
But,
yeah, well, I guarantee there are some that are.
we never know.
But ultimately, for me, it is a protection. If something,
Yes.
God forbid, were to happen, who do you think the parents gonna turn to? They're gonna be disappointed and upset with the district, and we're gonna have lost.
Yeah.
And, oh, well, you have a policy that prohibits it, well, it's not a good look.
So the direction from the board would be to change that third bullet point to say, from any current K-12 student.
Or pre-K to 12. We do have pre-K. I don't know if we want to do pre-K.
Sure.
I don't know. Just to.
Okay, thank you. Any further on this policy? All right, we're up to G, CEC, posting and advertising of vacancies. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, we're going to GCK, certified staff assignments and transfers. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to GCMC. Parent conferences, staff meetings, and school meetings. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to GCQ. Certified staff termination of employment. Discussion on GCQ. So now move on to GCQA, Certified Staff Reduction in Force. Discussion on GCQA. I just had one thing. I don't think we need that last sentence in the first paragraph. Because it kind of said in such cases following procedure will be utilized, then we have a colon. It's usually you've got like bullets and stuff, and this goes on to a heading, a subheading. So I think we can just cross that out. Anything further on this policy? Move on to GCQC, resignation of certified staff. Discussion on this policy. None, move on to GCQD, resignation of administrative staff. Discussion on GCQD. None, move on to GCQH, discipline, suspension, and dismissal of administrative staff. Discussion on this policy. Seeing none, move on to GCR, non-school employment of certified staff. Discussion on GCR. Seeing none, move on to IJOA, field trips. Discussion on a field trip policy. Yep. Dr. Lewis.
Bullet 8, there must be at least one adult chaperone for every 10 students participating in trip for overnight trips with students of both genders. I make a recommendation, we say, for overnight trips with students of opposite sexes, it is required that the appropriate numbers of male and female chaperones.
So I understand what we're doing with the opposite is sexes, I think, seem to have gone away from sex. And speaking of gender, is there a reason we couldn't say opposite genders?
Well, I think there's discussion that gender is more of a less objective term, whereas sex is defines male and female.
All right, thoughts from the board?
Just
Dr.
with,
White.
with the certain organizations of FFA, VPA, FCLA, those competitions and the overnight stays are really dictated by those particular agencies. It will tell you exactly what their expectation is. I don't, it's usually less than 10.
Right. I think from the point that we're discussing it, so what this is saying, right, if I have one male and one female student, I need to have one male and one
Female
female
chaperone.
chaperone.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
All right, yeah, I guess I would defer to start.
I didn't know if this is something we should check with. Also, honestly, if there's any type of. Sorry. If there's any type of legality to that, I don't know. If they recommend gender or something, I don't.
We can certainly run that by McMack and come back with an
Yeah.
answer for second reading.
Yep, let's do that, please. I mean, otherwise I understand the perspective from where we're coming, so I would defer to your judgment on that, once we have that. Mr. McMack, weigh in. All right, thank you, sir. On to KI, visitors to schools. A discussion on KI. Seeing none, on to. Oh, actually, that's it, right? Another one's there for that. Yep. That's my problem last time. I read for reference on top of the wrong policy. All right, that completes our discussion on first readings for board policies. This will come up later in the meeting for a vote, and we'll have a brief opportunity for discussion there as well. We are on to some action items. We're starting with section 9, Mr. Rapp.
Make a motion to approve resolution 9.1 through 9.6 personnel designations as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
Section 12 personnel transfers. I make a motion we approve resolution 12.1 and 12.2 as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
Section 14 personnel offers of employment. I make a motion we approve resolutions 14.1 through 14.3 as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Mrs. Stark.
Just another Lake Forest graduate coming back, so I like seeing Canada's name on there.
Great. Did you go to North?
I don't know, that's a great question. I have to look into that, honestly.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Starkey. Seeing no further discussion, we will move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
Section 16 personnel leaves of absence. And make a motion we approve resolution 16.1 through 16.4 as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing no, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
Staying in section 16 personnel leaves of absence. And make a motion we approve resolution 16.5 through 16.8 as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed?
No.
No. Any abstentions? Motion fails 0-5.
Section 20 personnel appointments. Make a motion to approve resolutions 20.1 and 20.2 as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0.
Section 22 other business. School choice. I make a motion to approve resolution 22.1 as written.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Rao. Start. Oh, sorry, we're up to 25.
25 other business board policies. I make a motion to approve resolution 25.1 board policies. First reading as modified during discussion.
Second.
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Any further discussion on the motion in first readings? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Rao. Thank you, Mr. Stark. We're up to section 26, board report discussion items. 26.1, good of the order, opportunity for board members to address any topic not covered otherwise on the agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. So I did just want to remind the board, I know it came up tomorrow night, we do have a big event in the district, if anyone's able to attend. Fortunately, I will be at the wrestling, and the conference wrestling tournament tomorrow night and Saturday, so I will be unable to attend. And as well, as I try to do at each board meeting this time of the year, we'll talk about school board elections. It is that time of the year. For anyone who is interested in joining the school board or running for school board, there is one position open for the Lake Forest School District this year. Filing for that is open until next Friday. So this is the last meeting that I'll be able to say that. It's typically the first Friday of March. So next Friday, March 1st, 4:30 p.m. as the filing deadline in the State Department of Elections. And then following that, The elections occur the second Tuesday of May. This year, that would be Tuesday, May 8th. At this point in time, we do have two candidates who have filed. And again, it is a four-year seat. That is a recent change over the last 2 years. Terms for board members were reduced from 5 years to 4 years, so it is a four-year term. We do have two candidates. David Walter Mazur, 781 Sea Breeze Road in Frederica, and Sarah R. Starkey, Carpenter Bridge Road in Felton. I do know Mr. Starkey is in the room. Is Mr. Mazur in the room? Sir, am I saying your name correctly?
Major.
Mazur, thank you for that. Welcome, thank you for being here. That is that. Anyone have anything else? All right, we will close that, and I do not believe we have a need for executive session, Mr. Woolman. Lucas?
No, sir.
Any board member? All right, with that, entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved.
Second?
A motion on the floor properly seconded. Questions or discussion on the motion? I will say our next meeting, this is one of these oddities. I believe it is 3 weeks from tonight. So that is Thursday, March 14th. And we will be, sadly, we won't be at North again. Sadly, we will be back to the central business office, but thank you again for hosting us. With that said, all those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. The board is adjourned at 8:08 PM. Thank you all. Stay safe.